Okay. Hello guys. So I'm Lucas Mengual, first name over there. And yeah, I'll be talking about modal synthesis weapon sounds. It's pretty much the title, and it's the same. So yeah, the research was me, basically, and then another guy, Dave Moffat, he's from Queen Mary as well, and Joshua Reiss, which is a lecturer at Queen Mary doing audio effects. And just a little bit about me at the moment. So basically, I like anything with procedural audio based and game audio in general, doing like for different platforms, so FMod, Unity, and stuff like that. Wise, I'm not a big fan of it. And yeah, now I just got my own sample pack company doing music production, educational purposes, stuff like that. And I'm making a living out of that. But yeah, my main research about it's procedural audio. So are you guys aware of procedural audio? Any people around? Can you raise your hands with procedural audio? Okay, not many. But yeah, basically there's a very famous quote of a guy, it's called Andy Farnell. He's probably like the god of procedural audio. He did this book, Designing Sound, I think almost like 20 years ago. And he described procedural audio like this. So it's better, probably better not to describe procedural audio sound by what it's not. So it's not pre-sequenced, pre-recorded sound and music. So procedural audio is basically real-time computational audio. And it's a huge movement that is coming out actually now, especially in game audio. Lots of companies are investing a lot in this, and I think in the future it's going to be even more, hopefully, for me, and hopefully there's more research in this specific type. So yeah, just a quick thing. I don't know if you guys are aware of Rockstar. So Rockstar, they made their GTA 5 game. Basically, all their sound effects, 30% of it was actually procedurally made, which is a huge impact for the gaming industry and the game audio industry. And it's coming up more and more, and each time, game development teams, they have their internal audio team, and they're making their own audio engines. So, for example, Rockstar, they created their own thing that is called Rage, and it's basically a procedural audio editor with different synthesis. It looks like Super Collider, sort of. I've seen it, but built in their own platform. Okay, so yeah, basically next I'm going to be talking about how I made the whole model of weapon sounds and combat-based weapons. And yeah, going through the SMS model, synthesis, and the perceptual evaluation and the analysis at the beginning. Why is it that I do this? Well, it's pretty easy to describe. I just feel that there can be more achieved sounds with procedural and leave the audio department, especially in games, making more man-made assets like voiceovers and orchestral music, which is more dependent on actual recordings and stuff like that. Especially voiceovers. That's something procedural audio will never probably achieve, at least for now. And yeah, that's a huge investment over there. Another investment is that game audio industry is growing a lot. An average of a first-person shooter game, it's about 50 million, and that's actually a very low amount at the moment. They're racing up to 100 million now in development. Games like Destiny, they spent 100 million in their development and 400 in promotion. Also, the thing with procedural audio is that it's cheap, well, it's fast to do, to develop. You got softwares like Pure Data or MaximSP, which makes play and interact and create fast models within months. And it's very memory effective. It's kind of obvious reasons because it's all run real time. And maybe for CPU, you might have some issues, but you can deal with that with more advanced models. Okay, so for the SMS model, so basically this is like the summary of what the model that I built does. So basically at the beginning we do some analysis. We just use a short-time Fourier function to, to collect the amplitude and the frequencies of each of the modes of this sample, so the weapon sounds. And then these values are spit out into the deterministic, which is the additive synthesis part, and in the stochastic signal, which is like the residual part of the model. And pretty much that's the whole overall idea. And yeah, model synthesis, it's easily can be calculated. Basically, we capture, the amplitude envelope, the gain, the phase of each of these modes. And then basically we do the residual. So what we do new about it is that we do the residual with a subtractive approach, and then we spit out the noise, and then we apply the same deterministic signal, but in an inverse function, and we spit the residual noise. I'll explain that later in the next slides if it wasn't clear. And in the patch later, I'll show you guys how it's actually being done. Anyway, so yeah, basically the first part, the analysis part, super basic. I did just a function in MATLAB capturing the different modes and the different peaks in the samples. I grabbed the frequencies and each of these frequencies, each of their amplitudes, and yeah, we had the spectral envelope. This is actually more important for the weapon-based sounds, which are more dependent on the stochastic signal rather than the deterministic signal. And I'll show you later in the slides why this is the reason. And yeah, there's always, when you're doing different windows to analyze the peaks, there's always this trade-off of the number of beams and heights, to properly measure. Because basically what I had to do is that I had to do each analysis manually, so I had to run each one by one. I had like about, so we have basically 7 different sounds that I'm recreating. 3 of them or 4 of them actually are guns, and then 3 of them are weapon sounds, or combat weapon sounds like hammer, adze, and a rapier. It's not a sword, it's a rapier. And yeah, basically I used this sound pack library called Boom. And the other thing I didn't mention here, so basically all these samples, it's really hard to, make it, to analyze them, even though I know there's characteristics that are being recorded in a room. So I take in factor the reverberation and the acoustics of these samples that has been recorded, because the guns that I'm using from this library were not recorded in an open air area. And yeah, of course, especially for the weapons. So there's always this restriction with the dynamic range, which I probably typed twice. And basically, yeah, there's this, like when you're recording a gunfire so close, the sound pressure level basically would shoot out, and the cardio or the input from the microphone, it's not allowed to record a clean gunshot sample. It's totally impossible for now. So yeah, we have this restriction, and sometimes it's hard, especially when analyzing. You guys gonna see the spectrogram, and it gets complicated. But yeah, basically, so here we have an original spectrogram of the hammer. So you guys can see the modes and everything, very clean, and the background noise in the back, right? Yeah, so for the first part, so for the deterministic model, after the analysis, basically we added an array of sine waves, and basically we are shaping each of them with an envelope, amplitude, and each of them has their own gain, of course, their own frequencies. Yeah, we also added this thing. Basically, it's like a randomization of the center frequencies. It's like a peak continuation algorithm, sort of. But I did it in matspatch, and in my case, it's totally random. So, for example, the center frequency of one mode is 220. It would run from, I don't know, 215 to 222, for example. Yeah, each of the models has from 16 to 22 yeah, signs, and what else? Yeah, basically, as I say again, the amplitude envelope, basically each of them has their own amplitude envelope to shape the energy of each of them. And so it correlates to the actual sound. And another thing that I did, this is basically for the CPU latency, so added small fragments of delays in some of the, some of these signs, so it's not shooting at the same time when I click in the model to play the sound. It's actually delaying a bit, so there's no this CPU latency. Yeah, basically, so this is how it will look, just the deterministic part of that hammer signal that we saw before. So yeah, you guys see that it's really synthetic. It's really not natural. It doesn't look realistic at all. And even though if you try as much as possible, you're always going to get this kind of like synthetic, not super linear, like super perfect sound. But then we added the residual noise, and that's really what it's all about. So yeah, basically the stochastic part of it, what I did, basically I implemented an inverse function of the deterministic signal. So it's hard to explain, but basically I did a subtractive synthesis using the same modes, so all the same values, I used them, and I spit it in this stochastic root, and I'm taking out with different filters where the modes were playing, and I used like a filter bank, so it saves CPU. What else? Yeah, so basically I did the amplitude envelope of the noise using a low-pass filter, so to tail the noise corresponding to the sample. And the last one, what it says, computation, deterministic signal. Yeah, so basically each of the stochastics, each of the magnitude of each of their noises, it's being shaped, again, with the low-pass filter. I'll show you guys in the patch. So yeah, basically, so here we can see just the stochastic signal. So here you can clearly see the subtractive synthesis that I told you guys. So this, like blue or dark lines, that's where it's being, that's where it's working. So basically, I'm subtracting the modes that I capture in the deterministic signal into the residual, and as well, the tail. So that is the energy level in the seconds. It's being shaped with the low-pass filter. Okay. Another innovative sort of feature that I added to the model, basically I added process effects. So yeah, this was innovative, apparently. No one did it before. So yeah, basically what I did is that I added the reverberations, I added the saturations into the different models. And basically the point of this was to make the sound realistic, to sound it as it actually sounds in a video game, or like when you hear the gunfires in a movie, you are not hearing an actual dry sound, recorded sample of a gun. It's actually being processed. So basically I did this to make the sound more enjoyable and realistic possible. So yeah, so here's where I tell you guys, so this is basically a shotgun recording. So the top one is, the bottom one is the original recording, and then the top one is the model version, so the procedural version, And basically, as you guys can see, you can't clearly spot the modes in the gunfires. As I said before, because of the restrictions with the microphone, it's really hard to actually achieve a clear analysis of this. So basically what I did, I depended more in the stochastic, so in the noise-based synthesis rather than the deterministic part of it. And basically, I captured the energy levels, and I used the amplitude envelope to shape different energy levels in the frequency bands. So yeah, you can see like around maybe from 500 hertz below, there's a lot of energy, low frequency energy around there, and it lasts like like 30.3 seconds. I forgot how to say that. And yeah, you also can see how it shapes sound. You can see that there's a lot of energy at the beginning from almost all the spectrum, and then it fades out. So yeah, we try to do this with each envelope from the noise. So the gunfires, they have more bands of noise shaping than the combat-based sounds. The last thing I did is actually I did a perceptual evaluation of these sounds, and we had some participants, coming into the studio, and basically we tried to do evaluation on the people rating each of the sounds. So basically, each of these green spots is like a player. So each of them, it's hooked to one of the samples. So there's 2 original samples from all these players, and all the rest of them are procedural. So some of them are like dry signals, some of them are the full wet, so with the process effects. Some of them just have the stochastic, some of them have just the deterministic part. And yeah, we told them to rate them, how they more preferred from a 0 to 100 rating. And yeah, later collected the results, and we did some plots. And the results are, yeah, basically also if you guys are interested in this type of evaluations. So the guy, Breck, which has his poster. So Dave, my partner in this paper, so he basically is also part of the evaluation. That's why he hooked me up with this evaluation environment. So that's why I did it. If you guys are more interested into this, you guys can talk to him. He's outside, or he's here. No, he's not here. Okay. Okay, the results. So basically, for the first weapon, so the AK-47, I did, so you guys can see the first in the left, the first 2 are the original samples, so B2 and B1 should be the opposite, but whatever. And the last 2 are the process versions that is called wet. And then, as I say, we got different variations of the procedural sounds. So single, that would be, for the AK-47, I also did like a burst effect. So it's triggering like from 3 to 4 times instead of just one single shot. This is just done with the AK-47. And yeah, so you have the full, you have just the noise. That means that it's just the stochastic signal. And some of them have just saturation and reverb. But in this case, in this one, no. And you guys can see the mean. It's really similar. Like people prefer the wet versions or the procedural versions almost closely as the original one. This actually came really positive for this type of AK-47. Then we had another AK-47 samples. They sounded differently, so there's 2 different models that I did for the AK-47. In this case, the results didn't go as desired, but yeah, it was a shame. Probably did something wrong, or people just didn't like it. Yeah, the Beretta. So this is the pistol model that I did. You clearly see that the first original one was super high. Everyone pretty much preferred that one as their first option. But then the second one, so the second sample, everyone related this one almost as the procedural based. And I found maybe there was like an error about this because the first one, I left more of the reverberation of like the actual room tail, and I shouldn't have left that in the sample. I should have like cut it. I should have cut the sample because the second one is really short sample, and I haven't left the natural how you say reverberation of it. So it actually, the second one looks more closely to the procedural bass sounds. So people related that with the procedural bass and not the first one. Like everyone thought the first one was an original one. So that's why it's high in the mean over there. Shotgun, okay. So Winchester 1300. If you guys are a fan of this shotgun, it sounds really low and bassy. It's kind of like their type of sound for this shotgun. And this one actually came pretty well, and it actually, I'm probably the best for this one. I liked it as well. And this model, basically the wet version, people actually didn't prefer it as much. Like it's very related with the stochastic signal. So it's almost the same as, it was really dependent on the stochastic signal, this sound, and really, really low in the deterministic. I barely used many arrays of modes for this shotgun. Another thing for this one, and not for the other guns, instead of shaping the envelope of a normal noise, I use a pink noise for this one because I didn't want a lot of the high frequencies. And yeah, as I said, Winchester is more famous for their low end rather than high end. And yeah, the results came out okay, average, I believe. So the fun part here was the comeback sounds. Nothing special. People have done this before. At least in Queen Mary, there's a lot of research in this as well. And yeah, as we can see, the originals are the same level or below the procedural bass sounds. And actually, just the deterministic version of it had a very high mean rating compared to the actual full process version, which is weird when I saw it. But yeah, apparently just like that, the harmonic-based one and not the full version. The hammer, the same. The original sample was actually not so preferred as the procedural based ones. And yeah, again, you guys see the different versions are there. The rapier, again, the original had a very low desirability compared to the PA version. And yeah, that's all the different plots that I did. And basically the conclusion of this is that I made a PA model that can synthesize any impact-based sound either from more harmonic-based or from a more noise wave shaping based. And yeah, as I say, out of the 7, 4 of them came undistinguishable from the original samples. Further research that I've been looking forward to it. So it's an automated analysis. Basically, instead of doing each one by one manually, I would love to do one automatic. There's a research already been done so far from Pompeo Fabra guys, and they are really strong in MIR, and I'm looking forward for that a lot. And yeah, other stuff. So after that, you can create a drag and drop model plugin sort of it, where you just drag a sample, analyze it with the algorithm, automated algorithm, and then would spit like 100 different types of gunfire sounds or weapon combat sounds. And other work that I do. So yeah, that's other stuff that I do. Procedural-based drum beats, a cloud server platform, all procedural, and melodic singing to MIDI. References, thank you. Let's go. Okay, so this is, can you guys see that? Oh, you guys can see that. There. So yeah, basically this is the one of the patches. So this is the gunfire one. Is the audio on here? Can I play stuff? Oh, it's not playing. Shit. It's just playing here. It's HDMI, right? Oh, man.
Let's check.
Or can I just play the audio samples, or it doesn't matter?
Oh, should be working. Oops. Does Max have settings for that?
No.
No?
No.
Okay then.
Wait, maybe, can I play the samples?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe.
Is this loud? Okay. All right. Well, if you guys want to see the patches, well, I can show you guys around. If you guys want to check them out after the talk, you guys are welcome to talk to me. So basically, this is all the gun stuff, and I separate it here, as I say. So this is the deterministic part. This is the residual part. You click on it. Okay, it's not opening because it's here. Whatever. Wait. I don't see the mouse. Yeah. Okay. So that will be the residual part. So it's like I say, it's a filter bank. So this one is 13 bands and stuff, pretty much. Hard to explain all this. If you guys want to, you guys can talk to me. And yeah, basically shaping each of the envelopes of each of the modes. And then for the hammer and combat weapons, it's pretty much the same idea. It's just that it's dependent more in the deterministic part, which is here, which I can open another one, and here. Yeah, basically, actually, what I want to work later on is to transcribe the whole thing, which I started in pure data, and use a heavy compiler to translate everything to C++, and maybe in the future, do a plugin out of this. But I feel still there needs to be more research, and especially for the automated analysis stuff. If you guys have questions about it, yeah.
If you trigger one of the sounds in your model, what sort of latency is there between the trigger happening and the
It's really fast. I think it's less than 2 milliseconds or something like that. Yeah, it's really fast.
Are you doing any FFT stuff in the actual playback system, or is that all just in the app?
Yeah, basically, so all the analysis, basically all the values are already saved here as a preset. So that's why it's not computational load a lot, because I'm doing the analysis before manually, as I say, in this model. Something I want to do later is actually do it automatically and spit it directly to the model. Any other questions about it? Yeah.
So if you wanted to use this as in a plugin, you could still use like Max NSP, right? Next for like generating the presets.
Yeah.
And you would only need to implement like a player.
From what I know, you cannot convert MaxMSP into a plugin. Maybe now there is a thing, but
you only need to like interpret your presets.
Yeah.
You wouldn't need like all the analysis stuff. You wouldn't need support into
Well, ideally I would have more research into it, and I'll have the analysis automated already incorporated. But basically, if I want to make it into a plugin, for the moment now, the fastest way I will probably do it is to translate everything into pure data. And there's this compiler, Heavy, which I know already because the guys come to Queen Mary. We did a talk about it, I think 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, Procedural audio. And basically, you compile everything using this bridge, and then it's in C++, and then you can use like Juice or Xcode, and then you export it and build it into a plugin. So that would be the ideal, faster way to do it. You just have to be aware of some of the objects when you are making it in pure data, because you cannot use all the objects. If you guys want to hear the samples, shit, I forgot. So yeah, I'm really sorry.
So we're out of time, but go ahead and play some samples.
Yeah, so this is the guns. It's not playing the guns. Okay, that's really loud. Is it loud? So yeah, basically that would be the deterministic part. The original is this. So as I say, you hear this tail that was not supposed to meant to be there. This is the other one. So it's a shorter one. And the full one is this one. No, sorry. This one? Oh no, sorry, this one. That one. That's the full process one compared to this one. It's all right. And then for the Winchester, is this loud, guys? Because I'm playing it and it's not loud for me. Okay, so this is the shotgun, original. This is the wet version. It's more noisy, as you guys can hear. And this is like, that's just the stochastic signal. So you don't see a big difference from the deterministic and the stochastic signal, because as I say, it's really dependent on the noise shaping. So yeah. Let's hear, I don't know, an ad. So that's the original, and that's the wet version, the procedural version. And yeah, it sounds okay. Hammer, again, original. As you guys can see, the process version that I did, so I overused the saturation a lot, apparently, so that's why you guys hear it louder. But that's just deterministic, so there's no noise residual in that one, and here it is. So you guys can hear a little crisp, more natural, supposed to be feeling. Yeah, I have no other things
I think
to
that's
do.
what we've got time for.